I wasn't going to make this video tonight. I wasn't going to make any video because it's raining so hard outside. I thought, oh, that's going to make too much noise. So I can hear it. If you can hear the rain in the background, let's just call that our background music for this one. But I just really wanted to get on and share some thoughts that I've been having about aging gracefully. You see, I've got a few friends that are just a little bit ahead of me in life, and some that I really see as role models that I want to age in the same way that they are. I've got one friend in particular, and I tease her a little bit. I say, Essie, when I grow up, I want to be like you. And she just looks at me and laughs because we're only a few years apart in age. But I look at her and I think, wow, she's just so tenacious and unstoppable. And she has all these adventures and she travels and does all this stuff. But yeah, I want to be like that when I grow up. And it just got me to thinking, what is it about those few people that I know that are really aging well? These friends that I have that I admire for their attitude in life. And I started just pulling it apart a little bit and came up with some ideas and basically things that I'm going to go after to be like that and to be able to age well and gracefully and just be a blessing to the people around me. One thing that I thought of was that people who age well, they tend to be grateful. They tend to have a positive attitude of appreciation for the things that are in their lives. And they bring that out in the way they speak and in the way they live and in their generosity, but they're appreciative. They're grateful for what they've received. And I heard somebody say once that what if everything that you have in your life tomorrow is only that which you were grateful for today? And I got to thinking about that one, that, yeah, there's a lot of things in my life that I really do appreciate, but I need to express that more. I need to really think about the blessings that I've received and show my gratitude for that. And that's what I've noticed about these people, that they show gratitude and it makes them glow. It gives them that, I don't know, just that positive attitude of the things being in their lives for a purpose and that they're grateful for that. So that's one thing that I really want to go after. And another thing that I've noticed is that people who are aging gracefully, they tend to be flexible. They tend to adapt to things. And I know that that gets harder. It's really tempting as we age to get really set in our ways because we are creatures of habit and habits can be really strong. And sometimes we get in these routines of this is how it's done, this is how I do things. And we do get too rigid. But people who age well, they're able to adapt. They're able to adapt to other people, other people's habits. They're able to adapt to changes just in society, changes in life, in public life, and even changes in technology and things like that, which nowadays is kind of hard to just put aside. And they're able to adapt also to changes in themselves, which is really important because we are all changing. And that adaptability, that flexibility, it just comes forth as being graceful, a way to embrace what's going on in our lives. And I think another important part of that too is that these people tend to welcome change that comes in their lives because things change. We can't avoid that. But it's a good idea to look at change and see that as an opportunity for something to improve. And that seems to be the attitude that I see in these people that I admire, that when things happen, when changes happen, especially those sudden and unforeseen changes, they look at it as an opportunity to start something differently, to make a change for the better in their lives. And that change can be the key to something that they've actually been hoping for. So that flexibility and ability to embrace change is another important aspect of these people. And not only that, I've noticed that people who age well tend to be lifelong learners. They tend to keep learning. And I'm not talking about just going to school, although I've known people who in their 60s, they're going to the university, getting a degree, learning different things, taking courses, but not just learning in a classroom type setting, but lifelong learners, like they're looking for new information. I remember my mom being quite elderly and reading these thick books about psychology and sociology and all this stuff, because she was always learning and always absorbing new knowledge. And I think that's so important because our brains never get full. They never lose their ability to take on more. And we need to keep our brains active. Now, that's one side of it, that we do it for our own good, for the health of our brain, to kind of avoid negative things happening later on as far as our mental capabilities. But it's not just that. When we stop learning new things, life gets stale. And when I talk to these people that I admire, they've always got something new, something different to share, that they've heard, that they've read, that they've studied on their own. And it makes them so interesting. And I get to thinking, I want to be interesting. I don't want to be a boring person that's just talking about, everything back then that happened, or the way things used to be. Now, these stories that we have of the past are important, and some of the things that we need to share with other people from the past can be very valuable. But there's just something about learning of new things, of different things, of just going in a little bit deeper, that makes us more interesting. And these people are always looking for new experiences. They're always looking for something that they haven't done before, somewhere that they have never gone before, that they can experience something and store up all the details of that experience and share that with people. And that inspires me too, because when I hear about these experiences, it makes me want to go out and do more and just absorb those things so I can be a more interesting person too. And another important thing that I've seen in these people is their ability to be empathetic. Empathy is so important when you want to connect with people, that you're able to understand what other people are thinking and what they're feeling, and to feel that with them. And that kind of empathy, it keeps us away from being so self-centered on the way I feel about things. And especially when you're trying to give counsel to somebody or advice to somebody, especially when they're younger, it really takes a lot of empathy to be able to feel what they're feeling, to be able to understand their whole situation, and offer not just advice, but offer comfort and encouragement to somebody. And I tend to think of it this way, that when you're speaking to somebody who's in a different stage of life, like in an earlier stage of life than you are, that it's so important not just to think about how they feel right now and how they're responding to what you're saying, but think about how you were when you were at that very same stage of life. What kind of decisions were you making? What kind of mistakes were you making? And just respond to them in that way and think, well, at that part of my life, would I have made the same decision? What would I have needed to hear? Even better than that, think, what do I wish I had heard when I was at that stage of life? And to offer that, not just, in a hard way of, you need to do this, but with empathy, feeling with them what they're going through. That empathy, to me, I've seen that in these people that I admire, that when I talk to them, they're not just focused on their own feelings about everything, but they tend to focus on how I feel and how we can connect in that. And I guess that just is what makes me admire them even more. And not only that, but I've seen that these people are creative. Creativity, it's so much more than just being artistic, because I know a lot of times that's what we think about. about being creative, you think, oh, they're making things, they're doing things, they're writing or singing or doing something artistic. But I'm starting to see that that's really only just a little part of it, because being creative is, it's the way you see life. Either you see it as being limited, like people talk about thinking outside the box. Well, there are these limits that sometimes we put ourselves into. And creativity just busts those limits off, because it says that in the situation of a problem, for example, that this problem has a solution. If we haven't found it yet, it's because we need to get away from the thinking that we've already been doing and think something different, that creativity, thinking in a different way. And not just problem solving, but creative in the way they live, the way they express themselves, and even the way people dress can express their creativity. But choices that people make, the way they might decorate their house or something, just having that creative touch, it just puts joy in everything, and it makes life so much easier to live. So that's why I admire these people for that. And another thing that goes a little bit deeper is that I've seen that people who live well and age well, they've found a way to let go of hurts in their life, let go of things that have been painful to them. Now, that's not exactly the same as forgiveness. Forgiveness is extremely important. You've got to be able to forgive people who have done wrong if you want to be free from that thing. I mean, you don't forgive for the benefit of the person receiving forgiveness. I don't know if you knew about that, but really, forgiveness is for your own benefit more than for the receiver of the forgiveness, because it's like it cuts off the need to be attached to what went wrong. So forgiveness, what that basically means is that it is eliminating a debt. It's eliminating the need for that person to pay you back in some way, and not just a physical or financial way, but even an emotional way, that they are free from having to pay you back. So you've let go of that. But letting go of the hurts and putting them behind you, to me, that's even different. And some people will say forgive and forget, and think about, well, forgetting is letting go of it. But have you ever tried to forget something? You really can't forget intentionally. You can't, because when you're thinking about the forgetting, you're thinking about what it is you're trying to forget, and it just plain doesn't work. And of course, you can just distract yourself and think about something else, but that's not the same. But when I think about letting go of hurts, that's an actual releasing of that. It's thinking about something and seeing the pain leave about that. It's kind of like a scar. You may know that something happened because you have a physical scar on you, but there's no more pain in that wound. It doesn't hurt anymore. So even though you didn't forget it, it didn't leave your brain, right? Because it never will. You can look at it and say, there's no pain there. That pain is gone because I have let it go. I've cut it off. I've released myself from that pain. Because one way to do that I've seen my friends do, is that they will dwell more on the good that they got out of the experience rather than the pain that it caused them. And so that's one way to look at living a life that is more free from pain that's been caused by experiences that we've had, which does help you to live better, age better, and have a more positive experience in your later years. That's all I have for you this time. And thanks for watching. And I really mean that, thanks for watching. I mean, some people just say that, but I really appreciate it, because if you heard me say that, then you made it all the way to the end of this video, and that means a lot to me. So thanks for being with me. And if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and try that now. And I will see you in the next video.